Hello all, welcome to your weekly interaction with however, whoever, whatever we describe our connection to, that gives us these messages, but somehow we seem to come through with interesting guidance, and it seems to generally resonate. Sorry for all the ums, but I am just getting myself situated. I am in the midst of an extraordinarily intense work cycle as I received a substantial promotion and shift in roles, and that has obviously consumed a lot of my time, especially because it sort of came about in a way that required an enormous amount of discretion, perhaps a little duplicity, things that I'm not particularly comfortable with when it comes to my own integrity. But when we stay true to the idea that we are deserving of the rewards that we receive, we have to reframe those matters, right? And I was just given a reminder looking at the Spirit Animal Oracle cards as I pull them, because I haven't pulled anything, because this morning I spent most of my day just relaxing because I have to work this afternoon, Saturday. But I got the reminder of our dove spirit from last week and the emphasis on peace, and I wonder how you handled that yourselves. Did you feel that? Particularly because, very interestingly, we have a lot of Mars energy coming into play as Mars begins its new 2-year transit. So whatever's been happening in your life in the last week leading up to now is pretty much an indication of exactly the direction in which your life will continue to grow, and also where your focus will be. What you have to overcome, what you need to focus on, what your soul will integrate. And of course, obviously it can't all be out on the table for us to see in real time. We'll only be able to put those pieces together in the flow of things to come. And I do think that's a very important thing to focus on. Of course, we'll also have a new moon in Libra this week. Interestingly, this will also be another potent one in combination with that Mars energy and in combination with the fact that Pluto goes direct. And Venus, what else do we have? We still have that Venus squaring, what is Venus squaring? Uranus? Do I have any notes here? I don't remember, but I think so. And that's happening right before, I think on the 7th, Venus moves from Scorpio into Sagittarius, which will also be a great relief for us emotionally, because of course Venus in Scorpio has really forced us to focus our attention on the things that have to die, the things that have to be let go of in our process. And that can be challenging, particularly if our hand is forced, as opposed to us submitting to that process voluntarily, right? What else do we have aside from that new moon and that the Sun opposite Chiron? Well, I mean, let's focus first on the Sun conjoining Mars, which is a beautiful thing. Again, as I said, Mars, the action planet, the one that pushes us forward internally and externally, is really putting us in a place to experience something completely new. something infused with all aspects of action, verbalizing, speaking up for ourselves, coming into our empowerment, the way that we define ourselves externally. All of these things are getting a brand new start. Not so much wiping the slate clean of where we've been, but building on that, of course. Anyway, we'll have to see how that all plays out for all of us, right? Because, I mean, there's always going to be challenges regardless, but I think we have done an enormous amount of leveling up, and subsequently we are going to see things grow exponentially for ourselves, rather than having to keep deconstructing, right? I'm getting pretty close to having all of these cards on the table, so as I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I want to talk about astrologically. I do have to say that I personally feel a sense of being fired up, and while I have no idea how I'm going to recalibrate the balance in my life surrounding the shifts in my personal work commitments, I feel that that will happen of its own accord, no matter which way I go, and as long as we stay focused and grounded, and we practice self-care, and we also allow ourselves to move into experiences that we haven't had before, that we want to move into, that we can see the potential for growth in, that we can surrender to in faith that the transformative aspect of these experiences will serve our soul journey. That's really what it all comes down to. Oh dear, what have I done now? Obviously I should have probably focused on pulling some more cards before I started recording, but I am in it. I gotta figure out how to get these things done. I'm doing it on Saturday because I specifically wanted to try to get it out there for those of you that prefer to watch it over the weekend. I also promised a friend that I would do a reading this weekend, which I will be doing tomorrow, so I needed to give myself a little bit of time and space to be able to get these things balanced out. Balance. Libra, balance, of course. Okay. I'm just getting these clarifiers on, oh, interesting. Okay, I understand. I see that. Okay, these cards all came out together, but I'm gonna go with them, so I feel like that was exactly how they were meant to come out. Okay. Perfect timing, because I have run out of things to express other than going into more of a narrative about my personal life, which nobody really wants to hear, I'm sure. So where should we start? Well, I don't know why. Oh, no, I did want to pull. I got a message to pull one card from Wisdom of the Oracle, which, I never do because... Oh. Nice. Thank you. It'll speak for itself, most probably, but let's go with it. Interesting that our Spirit Animal Oracle card of this week is Snake Spirit, Time to Heal, number 55. All of us need healing at times, and when Snake Spirit appears, it's time to repair, renew, and replenish yourself in your vulnerable heart. which I can tell you, this reading, and I think that Venus moving into Sagittarius has a lot to do with that. It's like we've done a lot of inner work in order for us to now externalize our emotional process. So the Pentacles are in place, or soon to be in place. The Wands are fueling our inspiration moving forward. The Swords up here, hopefully we've moved beyond a lot of our anxiety. We've vanquished a lot of that Black Moon Lilith energy as we've moved through those difficult degrees. And so it's time to focus on the Cups. You know, what do you have in here? And how is that serving you externally? Self-care and maintenance work are needed so that your vitality can arise. Give yourself the space to nourish your own well-being. Vulnerability is necessary for friendships and partnerships to work, which means all of us will have tender emotions at times. Be gentle with yourself and others now. Shed the past and step into a new way of being, for vitality is rising in you. This might be a good time to honor the work you have done to heal, grow, and repair any damage within you, within those you care about, and within your community. Celebrate together how far all of you have come in your healing journey and all that you have created. Unburden yourself of anything that no longer supports wellness, prosperity, positive relationships, and well-being, and open the door for healing to occur. If you're feeling challenged by that message, I will read the protection message. I don't think the vast majority of us really feel challenged by that. I think we all know that, and we can get on board with that celebration of coming together. But even for me, for example, I have boundaries in place in certain relationships that have been very rigid for my own processing, and I'm sure I have to reevaluate those boundaries and you know, we have to work on ourselves first in order to regain our sense of self-love and purpose, and then beyond that, then after that we can find forgiveness, we can find equilibrium in our approach to others, we can see people for, you know, those that we feel have wronged us, or those that defined a victim narrative in our life that we had to work through post-trauma, you know, processing. You know, eventually you want to get to a place, right, where that's not fueling your path forward. And forgiveness is really about allowing ourselves to move forward, as we've discussed many times before, not so much a focus on allowing the other person to. The other person can in whichever way they want to. It's like their process to do. It's hard to do if somebody doesn't have any accountability or doesn't take their own, take stock of their own journey and doesn't do that psychological work and spiritual work. But at the same time, we're all learning. So on that note, I put out to the universe that where I need to move forward in that direction. I ask for the assistance and guidance to do so. And that probably will be the resolution of Libra season. On that note, we all have to honor where we come from, and so I wish a happy birthday to my mother, whose birthday is on this coming week. And energetically, I hold space for enlightenment and evolution for all people who are open to experiencing that in light of that acknowledgement. Here is the protection message. No matter how much you may have lost or how you have been disappointed, you are called by Snake Spirit to shed the past and practice radical self-acceptance now. And think about that. What is radical self-acceptance to you? That's not something I can inform you of, but it's takes a lot of work. Only by forgiving yourself can you move on, regardless of whether anyone else is ready for healing. When your tender new skin first becomes exposed, you may feel uncomfortable. Love yourself and remain vulnerable anyway. I feel like what I just spoke on kind of was an actual live depiction of that happening, right? You have been weak, but now you are becoming strong and developing wisdom, and you will do better in the future. Snake Spirit reminds you that hearts can be so easily wounded. Apologies and amends go a long way. Self-forgiveness for your role in what happened can help you heal. Remember, it is the one who has been wounded who often has the greatest power to help others heal. Intense, right? Let's read our Sufi Wisdom Oracle card. Also reinforcing this message. Balanced life, love seeks your well-being. From Rumi. Today, like many other days, we wake up empty and startled. Let the beauty we love be what we do. Life is too valuable to waste. The way to spend it well is to have a balanced life. This means having mind, body, heart, and spirit all working together in harmony. When there is no conflict and no competition between these elements, the system works together and you achieve an inner peace. Life becomes imbalanced when we focus too much to any one aspect and neglect the others. Rumi is a loving oracle reminding you to see the beauty around you so that love becomes a presence that affects everything you do. If you feel you are losing your enthusiasm, it means you have fallen out of balance. It might be that you are feeling overwhelmed because you are under pressure of some kind, or dealing with a physical hardship which is causing stress and keeping your systems from working together. Let love guide you toward what is best for you. When you allow the spirit of love to guide you, all the organs of your body will be in harmony with each other. This oracle brings the message that your heart is big enough to receive the joy that is lying in wait for you. Allow your knowledge, awareness, and openness to allow your mind, body, heart, and spirit to work together. Begin by giving your mind confidence by strengthening your belief system. When your mind has clarity, it can guide you. You will be able to expand your memory and improve your vision, and it will help you achieve your practical goals. Spending quality time with friends, getting out in nature, taking a quiet walk, reducing your weight, or improving your sleep patterns are examples of what can be done to achieve balance in life. And on the personal note, again, I have very much had to focus on giving myself the opportunity to reevaluate my sleep rapport, because it's really hard when you have to work a lot and then you're trying to like catch up on your personal stuff and then you don't sleep, and then it really ends up causing a lot of problems. And boy, oh boy, do I personally know how sleep deprivation can cause enormous imbalance in our lives. Our Sacred Destiny Oracle cards of the week. We have these two cards that came out together, and I do think that they're meant to be a progression. We have Standstill, followed by Opportunity. So there's a duality here, obviously, when you're thinking of standstill versus opportunity. And here we have that new moon. So I feel like this is just a simple timeline depiction that we have this idea of the standstill, where we've been in this cocoon of reevaluation. Of course, it hasn't necessarily been feeling like the most protective of cocoons, because we've been making leaps and bounds internally with all of these retrograde planets that are all going direct in October. You got, well, eventually Mercury will go direct later this October. Pluto on the 6th or 7th. Saturn and Jupiter. Big players. And then you have this new moon depiction of opportunity. So the new moon, whatever shift is taking place in your life, and I know that there's a good few of you have like big changes like me, where you're moving into new roles or something's shifting in your life of significance. You know, embrace this opportunity. Set your intentions around those and remind yourself that this is a cups opportunity, even though the tangible aspect of things may be in the pentacles realm of material wealth, possessions, power, authority, whatever it may be. This is very much an opportunity to take the emotional heart energy and integrate it into that pentacle zone, right? That's what this is all about, all of this. Another reminder for us of how that comes about, which is probably why I was guided to pull from the Wisdom of the Oracle deck, is the Serendipity card came out. Again, when we get this card, it's very much an indication that we have to pay attention to the serendipitous aspects of our lives. When something comes up, we have to acknowledge that it is in divine timing and within the divine plan for our individual souls, our uber soul, our higher self, whatever you want to call it, sets these balls in motion, right? So that we can level up. Sometimes that comes with a pretty bow around it. Sometimes it can be a little harsh and challenging, but the challenge is usually simply from an egoic perspective. As soon as we acknowledge where the ego is struggling and we release that and we're open to the growth of the opportunity, it becomes a free-flowing, positive experience, right? And being challenged is not a negative experience. Again, we look at this in astrology when we see squares and oppositions. You know, very often, you know, we've got that Chiron opposition to the sun, which I didn't actually get into. It's happening right now between October 1st and the 3rd. You know, oppositions are just almost like having a spotlight shone on something that is in the process of being vanquished or overcome. And, you know, with Chiron, that is our wounded healer, that is our wounded warrior, however you want to define it, you know, but it is the inner healing capacity being amplified to then become an external process. Our own healing initiatives, our own healing capacity, our own sometimes untapped healing knowledge of ourselves then starts being integrated into the sun being everything, right? All energetic flow. So therefore, when we move out into our experiences in the realm of opportunity, post new moon in Libra, the infusing of those actions, those with healing, which again is cups, you know, that is the driving force of all evolutionary processes on the soul level. Whoa, I got deep there, yeah. So, where am I? Okay, we did all of the oracle cards. So let's get right into our reading. Very interesting again. Now, I see, again, I always, this is just the way that it's working for me at the moment. I don't do structured readings. I haven't been doing Celtic crosses or anything for quite some time because I like integrating all these different decks so that we level up in our understanding. We can get a deeper dive through the combination of different decks and processes. So we always have the three, at the center of our reading, we have three three sets of cards. Sometimes they come out as twos or threes, depending on how much of a combined message we require. But they do sort of, the first card is not so much past as like our foundation of what is shifting us into the new energies. Then our central card is sort of central to all of these cards, because it's at the center of a circle of cards. I wish I could actually show you that, but, well, I can, but don't be disturbed by the wonky camera angle that I'm about to show you. So you see it like this. Hopefully you're able to see it like, okay, there you go. It's sort of a circle. There. Oh, why is it so bright like that now? Looks crazy. Oh my god, it's like I'm like floating up to heaven. I apologize for that. There we go. No, oh, there we go. That card represents where we are and where we can grow from now. And then on the right hand side, the cards that come out for that position indicate the state of mind and experience that we will be having. And then I pull those Osho Zen Tarot cards to give us clarity into more of a metaphysical soul journey revelation about what those experiences mean to us, right? So, I'm sure most of you already know that, but just in case any of you don't, I know it's frustrating sometimes for some people because I don't show the cards as they are. Like, some people only show the cards. I mean, you could call me a giant narcissist for thinking that somehow it's more interesting to see me on camera. But that's how I flow, and it's like I feel that I'm connected to you. That's what I'm here to do, is deliver a message, and the cards are the tool, not the star. I'm not the star either. Well, I kind of am on my own channel, but not in a narcissistic way, more in the way that I talk, and that's how I do it. So I hope that works for you guys. So where are we coming from? Well, a really beautiful place. We have the King of Cups here. So again, we're talking about that process of moving the cups into the pentacle realm, of integrating emotional drive into our materialistic flow of life. It's bringing the emotion into the physical, right? So that then informs our action, I think, again, it's been a while since I've like taken a quote from a Madonna-related project. And I think I've used this one before, but at the end of the Express Yourself video that came out in 1989, which is a very interesting video if you actually are interested in cinema and mythology and modern mythology, in the sense that it's taken from the film Metropolis, and it's a twist on that in terms of inverting the roles of which character is played by whom anyway, if you're interested, go look at it if you've never seen it. But it ends with a quote, without the heart there can be no understanding between the hand and the mind. That essentially is cups. Without cups there can be no understanding between pentacles and swords and wands, right? So, something to think about. So let's see what our clarifier is, interestingly. So we got two clarifiers. I've never really had reverse cards from the Osho Zen Tarot because it doesn't really depict that. But what I'm going to try to do is read the message, and then we'll see where the reversals are, where we're shifting away from the energy or the message that's in that card. But, what this King of Cups is telling us, we're leaving behind this Four of Pentacles miser energy. That was upright. And we're moving into a reversal of postponement. So the indication is that there has been this time of incubation where we've needed to move beyond that. So let's see what we're leaving behind in that miser. And what we're leaving behind in the idea of coming out of postponement, right? And I'm not going to read the actual definition of the description of the card. Other than the conclusion aspect of it. So I'm just going to literally tell you. So in the miser card, we're told, whatever you're holding on to, remember that you can't take it with you. Loosen your grip and feel the freedom and expansiveness sharing can bring. The moment you become miserly, you are closed to the basic phenomenon of life, expansion, sharing. The moment you start clinging to things, you have missed the target. You have missed, because things are not the target. You, your innermost being, is the target. Not a beautiful house, but a beautiful you. Not much money, but a rich you. Not many things, but an open being available to millions of things. And as I think about what the word available means, openness, of course, but available, avail means accessible, means resulting in, So available means being open to the opportunity to grow, taking away the barriers that, it's like kind of like training wheels. When you're first learning to ride a bike, you feel, you need those because you haven't understood how to balance your core and such, So, I think that makes sense. You get the drift. Postponement, again, two fours in reverse, Fours are sort of stagnant energy. It's when we reach a platform where we need to evolve beyond. So, again, the idea of the incubation of postponement in reverse, I'm going to read what I can cull from this oracle description commentary and see, how we can reverse that into an understanding of where we're moving out of as a result of being in this King of Cups energy. King of Cups, of course, which I perhaps should have said, I took for granted that you would know that, but just in case you need reminding, King of Cups is a master of emotion. And being a master of emotion doesn't mean that you stop evolving and that you've just learned everything there is about emotion. It means having the self-confidence and the self-knowledge to be able to actually see that you know nothing, and that you're constantly having to re-evaluate your perspectives. You cannot be emotionally draconian, otherwise you die, your soul dies, So let's see. Tomorrow never comes, they say, but no matter how often it is said, it seems that most of us tend to forget the truth of it. In fact, the one and only result of postponing things is dull and depressing. It's a feeling of incompletion and stuckness today. The relief and expansiveness you will feel once you put aside all the dithering thoughts that are preventing you from acting now will make you wonder why you ever waited so long. So that's all I'm going to read from that, because that's what's coming to an end. We're in that this King of Cups energy in us is allowing us to be master of how we navigate the next stages of our life, no matter what it is that you're moving into. You know better now. There is that old saying, when you know better, you do better, right? That's all it really is in a nutshell. At the center of our, it's also an empowerment, before I say, that when you know that you are the actual catalyst of these energies and that it's only you that can change your perspective on it, if you're feeling like things are overwhelming, strange, out of alignment, it's a reminder that you are the one that can harness the, not controls, because remember last week we saw that control energy needing to shift away, but more surrendering to the understanding that what you're finding uncomfortable is exactly what is needed. And you have to figure out how to master that through your King of Cups energy to turn your frown upside down, to find the drive in whatever experience you're having that is true to your soul. For example, my friend who I'll be doing a reading with, she lives in a place where she's quite isolated in many ways, but in those moments of discomfort, I imagine perhaps sometimes even a sense of isolation or disconnection, she turns to nature to understand that. She observes nature. And while I know that she'd like to be able to observe it with someone else, she still knows that the power of the universe is there within her at that moment in communion with nature. So there's an example of how we can shift our own perspective. And even if it's uncomfortable, we know in that moment that what we're doing is an attempt to better our perspective, to improve our circumstances, to embrace the challenge, right? So that's what it's all about. You can still have shitty experiences, but can you figure out how to make them not shitty and instead make them something necessary and beautiful and part of a bigger picture experience, right? That eventually we'll all outgrow. I mean, change is the one guarantee in life, right? At the center of our reading, we have the Nine of Cups. And, the Nine of Cups is where we are emotionally satiated. To the point in this depiction where there's so much that a cup can fall off the table and nobody's really suffering for it, right? I'm sure that I could look further into the Botticelli depiction of all of these phases, and they represent different aspects of the journey towards that self-fulfillment. But of course, what comes after self-fulfillment is the need to open yourself up to allowing others in. And I know a lot of us, in fact probably most people that are watching this, our little group of conscious minds, we've all isolated ourselves a great deal. We've all become quite comfortable, even if there's misery attached to it, we've become comfortable because it's something that we can control. As soon as we open ourselves up to the emotional flow, integrating others, we have to challenge ourselves more, right? And the clarifiers on that were two reverse cards again, which, again, I'm not even going to read these, except I'll read the maturity card message, because it came as a reversal in this Nine of Cups, what's going to push us out of, into, opening ourselves up. And of course, let's not forget that we are in Libra season and that we are in the second decan right now, which is where the balance that we worked on within then actually becomes externalized in our process, and then by the time we get to the third decan, which will be in another week or so, then we find ourselves in the position where we have to find the fusion of the both, where there's a message for us, the opportunity to level up that will culminate probably around the time of the full moon, right? So there we have it. We have clinging to the past, gone, and maturity in reverse, interestingly, is perhaps on a more mundane level. It's like maybe because you'll see with our future cards that we have two knights, not knights, sorry, we have two pages, that, the page is the youthful spirit incarnate. It is where it's the teachable self, it's the fool experience, where we are like at the very beginning of a new journey. So sometimes that requires letting go of what we find to define our ideas of maturity, because maturity can become very stagnant if we define ourselves as, oh, well, this, our society requires of us to authenticate our entitlement to exist by following very stiff, draconian codes of conduct and expectations, certainly in terms of our physical manifestations of certain behaviors and decorum. Obviously, to some degree, when you work within any system, you have to adhere to that to a degree, but there's always the inner child waiting to poke its head out, and if you're not in touch with your inner child, that will come out in a way that might actually trip you up or get you into a little bit of trouble, so that you learn to integrate it in a more symbiotic way. So let's read a little bit of what maturity is defined as by the Osho Zen cards. It's the Ace of Pentacles. Not that I see that as a reverse on the Ace of Pentacles in the sense of the opportunity being reversed, but more that the opportunity has arisen, it's now part of the truth, and now it's time to stop being constrained by fear or adherence to limiting beliefs. When you draw this card, know well this moment carries a gift for hard work well done. Your base is solid now, and success and good fortune are yours, for they are the outcome of what has already been experienced within. Well, that sums up exactly what we're talking about. But again, because it's a pentacle and the reverse, I'm going to understand this, and I'm actually feeling this very strongly, that what it is we've talked about this. This needs to now be turned into an Ace of Cups. And how do we get into the Ace of Cups? By no longer clinging to the past. All this message of moving into that new moon opportunity. So I think that new moon in Libra is going to be pretty pivotal for us in our leveling up and our ability to break down the barriers that are no longer necessary. As I said, taking the training wheels off the bike, and then you balance your core and you know how to ride a bike, right? You don't need those training wheels. And I know that all of us had that experience if we did ride a bike when we were a kid, if we were lucky enough to do that, that there's that weird moment where if you're used to a tricycle or you're used to training wheels, the thought of those going away, there's like a little bit of a panic or a little bit of apprehension. I mean, some people maybe not. They might be predisposed to have less anxiety for other reasons, But I think the majority of kids, if you really tap back into that childlike mentality that you had at that time, you might not have had the tools to define exactly what anxiety was or apprehension, but you know that feeling of the pit in your stomach, or the sort of semi-excitement but the fear of failure or hurting yourself, or being hurt, right? No, I'm not going to read any more of that one. Our future energies, and there we have it, exactly what I was talking about. Two cards came out together. We have the Page of Swords and the Page of Wands. So that's our thoughts and our inspired beliefs. Totally teachable. Could not be more clear in the message that, and I do see it right below, snake spirits, time to heal, and the balanced life, love seeks your well-being. So that's about being open in the sense that whatever your ideas of love are, whatever you received in the past that may have either traumatized you or caused you to close down, now is the time to get rid of all that shit and challenge yourself consciously to do that, to be open to things that don't come in shapes and sizes that you were accustomed to in the past. I don't know how that manifests for any of us, but that's the whole point, Again, it's clarified by the Fool, which will be our outcome card for this week, and I will read that in full. So, pretty powerful to end a reading on the Fool, especially when we've understood that this cup energy, you'll notice that we go from having our emotional balance within and our sense of control in the King of Cups into the Nine of Cups, the manifestation in our experience of like self-satisfaction, self-satiation, the idea of being enough, which then in turn translates into new ideas, new thoughts about what that means to us in our experience. And the Fool will clarify to us exactly how that works. So let's read the Fool. Very first card of the deck, right? Moment to moment, and with every step, the Fool leaves the past behind. He carries nothing more than his purity, innocence, and trust, symbolized by the white rose in his hand. The pattern on his waistcoat contains the colors... waistcoat? I can't speak, apparently. The pattern of his waistcoat contains the colors of all four elements of the tarot. Indicating that he is in harmony with all that surrounds him. His intuition is functioning at its peak. At this moment, the Fool has the support of the universe to make the jump into the unknown. Adventures await him in the river of life. The card indicates that if you trust your intuition right now, your feeling of the rightness of things, you cannot go wrong. Your actions may appear foolish to others, or even to yourself, if you try to analyze them with the rational mind. But the 0 place occupied by the Fool is the numberless number, where trust and innocence are the guides, not skepticism and past experience. A Fool is one who goes on trusting. A Fool is one who goes on trusting against all his experience. You deceive him and he trusts you. And you deceive him again and he trusts you. And you deceive him again and he trusts you. Then you will say that he is a fool. He does not learn. His trust is tremendous. His trust is so pure that nobody can corrupt it. Be a fool in the Taoist sense, in the Zen sense. Don't try to create a wall of knowledge around you. Whatsoever experience comes to you, let it happen and then go on dropping it. Go on cleaning your mind continuously. Go on dying to the past so you remain in the present, here now, as if just born, just a babe. In the beginning, it's going to be very difficult. The world will start taking advantage of you. Let them. They are poor fellows. Even if you are cheated and deceived and robbed, let it happen, because that which is really yours cannot be robbed from you, and which is really yours nobody can steal from you. And each time you don't allow situations to corrupt you, that opportunity will become an integration inside. Your soul will become more crystallized. Beautiful. I can understand exactly what this means. I hope you can too. And I can't... Well, I'm actually really excited to move forward into things. I don't know exactly why or how. And but I do know that there's been a lot of rigidity within me emotionally for a period of time, as I've had to create a lot of boundaries in order to work through a lot of reconciling and a lot of, within. From my emotional perspective, my the thoughts, those swords, when you found yourself in a 9 of swords, 8 of swords energy, you have to, go to the 10 of swords. And then after that, you spend time in the hangman energy, right? That's what the hangman is. It's that period of time where you process and you provide yourself with a degree of safety and security in order to be able to strengthen yourself to the point of being able to no longer cling to the past, not have to preach and practice a type of restrictive maturity, and instead be ready to embrace the new, whatever that is. Can you do that? I wish you a blessed week. Namaste.